the pain like.
Hey guys, dearyoongi here, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing K-pop groups who I feel have the most wasted potential. This video will only be featuring K-pop groups who are still together, even if they may be inactive, because if I was to talk about disbanded groups in this video, we could be here all day. Perhaps that is a different topic we could look at some other time. Without further ado, and in no particular order, let's get into it. So first up, I think we should start with the group that most people will be expecting to include in this video, and that is Everglow. Everglow were definitely monster rookies in the sense that they seemed to debut with a bang, and with every era they kept getting stronger. With every comeback, Everglow were further proving how talented they were and how much potential they had, and as a result of this, their fan base was growing around them. So on the surface, things seem great. However, at the moment, as we speak, Everglow's most recent comeback was with their song Pirate, which was released in, I can't believe it's been this long, December 2021. Prior to this, Everglow were coming back twice a year, minimum since they debuted. So it's like, what happened? Well, it could be a few things. In the time Everglow have been kind of MIA, their label Yuehua, I'm so sorry if I butchered that, have debuted soloist Yena and a new boy group Tempest, both of which we all know are things that have not come cheap. So perhaps financially it wasn't the best choice for them to also give Everglow a comeback during this time, but with that being said, surely keeping one of your best moneymakers active is precisely what you need to do during these ventures. Another potential reason the label is not focusing much on Everglow is that one of the members, Yiren, returned home to China in order to spend some time with her family because she hadn't seen them at all since before the pandemic, which is completely understandable when you consider idols from overseas are spending so much time away from their loved ones, let alone having no choice but to stay separated due to a global lockdown as well. So that made sense at first, if Everglow would be inactive because she was away, but it was revealed that Yiren was also in China for academic purposes and had actually established a private workshop and is also appearing in Chinese entertainment shows during this time. So then fans started to fear if she would ever come back to the group at all. And then another member of Everglow, Aisha, unfortunately fell ill and was in hospital at one point due to health deterioration. So that could also be another reason why the label didn't really want to do too much with Everglow during this time while they got back on their feet. But I honestly think that I'm perhaps giving them a little bit too much benefit of the doubt, because Everglow have still been doing like a few festival appearances here and there, performing old songs. After around 10 months, I believe, Yiren returned to Korea, and I'm pretty sure Aisha is also on the mend now. But aside from those odd appearances we mentioned, the girls' label Yuehua still don't seem to have any comeback plans for the girls. It is such a shame to see because they had built up such a great following which was only increasing. It is a real shame to see all their hard work seemingly have amounted to nothing at the moment, and unfortunately all we can do right now is hope that things change soon and the girls are given a chance to get back out there, create some new music and keep growing as they once were. Let's move on to the next group we have to discuss, and that is GOT7. Now you're probably thinking, huh? GOT7 was so active and achieved so much during their time at JYP, and even now they're all pursuing their solo goals, they still kill it when they come back together as a group. But what if I told you there is still reams of untapped potential with GOT7, and we were low-key robbed of seeing them reach their full potential at JYP Entertainment? I have been an iGOT7 since pretty much debut, so I watched the group progress through their time at JYP, and as much as we watched the members do great together as a group, it was also very hard to ignore that pretty much all the members had other avenues they wanted to explore, which is only natural. And we also can't ignore how these requests and needs were simply not met at JYP. Each and every member of GOT7 had the potential to kill it as a soloist, which we are now seeing, but they did not get that opportunity while at JYP. And I'm surprised we didn't have any GOT7 solos. But aside from a bit of acting work and maybe OSTs, we did not get all of these extras from GOT7 that the members made no secret of admitting they wanted to do. There's plenty of clips to back this up too. Take the time Youngjae basically asked JYP for an album on Live, or that TV show where JYP himself rejected every single solo track that JB showed him just within a few seconds of listening to them. And it makes me think, why? My question is to JYP Entertainment more than anything. You had this group of talented individuals who all wanted to prove their worth and do more than just group comebacks, and the support would have been there from fans if they did, so why wouldn't you let them do it? I understand that these are all expensive ventures, but there was a huge likelihood that they would have all worked out well. I personally saw GOT7 reaching a much wider audience. They had such an appeal about them them and the music to back that up. And if we're going to bring up success in the West, literally 3 of the 7 members were fluent in English. But JYP didn't capitalize on this. It's really weird to me, and of course we'll never know the full thought process behind this. All I can say is thank God they have the creative freedom to explore their crafts more now, because they deserve it and they're only proving what they could have been doing this whole time. Next artist we are going to discuss with wasted potential is Lightsum. This one is a shame because as upsetting as this is for fans to see, I also can't say this is anything less than what I expected when I saw Cube debuting a new girl group. It's not at all fair on the artists involved, but Cube just have this history of creating a great girl group and then wasting all their potential. I didn't trust their company from the beginning to treat them well, and all they have done is prove me right. Cube are responsible for wasting 4 Minute's potential, wasting CLC's potential, and now I'm worried they're doing the same with Lightsum. The only group who things have fortunately seemed to be different for is Idol, and if we're being very honest, I personally feel this is because they have Soyeon, and her producing skills and visions are just so valuable that Cube give her the resources to fulfill them, because every single time, especially in the last few years, it has paid off and they succeed. But back to Lightsum, like I've already touched upon, I was really worried for them like straight from debut, straight from when they announced they were debuting a group even, because Cube have done nothing to show us that they would be any different this time. The girls' debut song Vanilla broke the record for the highest first week sales among new girl groups in 2021 until it was surpassed by IVE's 11. That should be enough to make any company think, okay, well, we must be onto a winner here. There is clearly some anticipation around this group and a buzz, let's see how it plays out. But of course, in true Cube style, they still somehow screwed it up. It's not that they weren't giving the girls work because they were letting them come back, but the main issue started in 2022 when it was announced that 2 of the group's members, Huiyeon and Jian, I'm so sorry, were to leave the group. Apparently due to a restructuring of the group, which is a really strange reason to give because it doesn't make it sound like it was the girls' choice and they just wanted to terminate their contracts. It's almost as if they had no choice and they were removed from the group. I'm honestly not too sure, it's just the wording really threw me off and it doesn't really sit right with me, and if that is what happened, it is not fair to any of the parties involved. Both the members removed from the group and now the rest of the group who were working together and now don't have them anymore. Fast forward to present day and apparently Lightsum were supposed to come back in the first half of 2023, but that is now over and they are still nowhere to be seen. There could be an argument that Cube are focusing on Idol at the moment, but even if so and that is the case, don't say you're planning a comeback for a group if that's not going to happen. I feel really bad for the girls and their fans because there's nothing they can really do except wait and hope for the best and that things will be different this time, but they deserve better than that. Another group I would like to highlight in today's video is MCND. I am wondering if some people will be surprised to see this one, but I can explain. MCND debuted back in 2020, and there's always been something about them that has felt a bit different for me. Their charisma and ability to command a stage really took me aback for such a new group, and even though they only have 5 members, they are all very strong in their respective fields. I don't think their potential is being ignored by K-pop stans because they seemed to build quite a big fan base in a short time, especially in their early days, and the fandom seemed to grow quite big quite quickly over the course of a few strong comebacks. But things seem to have slowed down a bit, and I think I know why. We aren't really doing much to bring in new fans anymore, just trying to make as much money as possible out of existing ones. MCND's label, Top Media, I know, don't get me started, saw the gem they had created, and as soon as they had enough discography, they sent MCND out on tour. At this point, MCND have literally told the world they have only been around for 3 years, bear in mind. And I know this is what every artist dreams of, but you have a group who have been around for such a short time, and literally all I know of them doing for the past 2 years or since lockdown ended is traipse around the world doing concert after concert and one poorly promoted comeback. We'll get onto that. And I'm worried that they're taking advantage of MCND's skills, putting all their eggs into one basket, which is the one that makes them the most money fastest. I cannot be the only person who sees this. Perhaps it will help if I speak from a personal experience. I saw MCND at their concert in London last year. They told us they had literally just turned up that afternoon, so when they got to the venue, they barely had any time to properly prepare and do soundcheck, and you could tell. I'm not saying that as a drag towards the boys, they were fantastic, but soundcheck is more for production to ensure they have the correct cues and know what to do and when, in collaboration with the artist. But because there wasn't a full soundcheck, the lack of preparation was evident, and MCND had to kind of wing it and perform some songs they were supposed to do earlier in their set much later on because the cues were a bit messy. Now that is not fair, and not a position that a group should be put in, but I think this highlights where the company's priorities lie, in trying to push and pull the boys to do as many shows as possible, no matter what the price they pay is, whether it be through lack of organization and preparation, or even the price being their own health, because this is not a good way to live. They must be exhausted. Now, they haven't just been touring, they have had an actual comeback in the time since they started traveling the world, but I don't see anywhere near as many people talking about that one as they did previous comebacks. It's almost as if the label didn't really bother a lot with proper marketing and promotions, because they were more concerned with getting the boys out there and onto their next leg of tour destinations as soon as possible. There is a lot more to being a K-pop idol in particular than just selling out shows, and I feel top media are wasting MCND's potential by ignoring other areas in which they would be able to thrive that aren't just throwing them out on stage 200 nights a year. This video would be incomplete without me including this next group, and that is Weki Meki. Weki Meki have been around since 2017 now, so they're 6 years into what I can only assume are 7-year contracts, and they have still never had a single music show win, not one. So as you can imagine, fans such as myself are becoming quite concerned as to where the future lies for our girls. I think we'd be naive to assume that it's looking good. The problem here is, I don't get it. Weki Meki are one of very few groups where every single comeback I can safely say that I've enjoyed it. They're one of the most synchronized girl groups in terms of choreography, and their stage presence has always been leaps and bounds above their years, even in the very early days. Those are all surely things that would help a group to go towards success, but as we all know, K-pop isn't necessarily always fair, and sometimes you need that little extra push or help, if you will, to ensure that the group is set up for success. But get this, Weki Meki had that too. Two very popular members of the survival show produced group IOI, Doyeon and Yoojung, went on to debut as members of Weki Meki. They brought such a star quality to the group, and I also thought that would help propel them, or at least give the group a bit more attention. And hey, it might have for a little bit, but unfortunately it's not been enough. So now we have to ask ourselves, why haven't Weki Meki quite reached the heights that we all know they could? And personally, I'm holding one party accountable, and that is our company Fantagio. I think Fantagio have very much wasted Weki Meki's potential since the very beginning by not giving them proper management and marketing they've needed, or at least not enough of it. Despite the undeniable talent and charms that the girls have, comebacks have been inconsistent and becoming more infrequent, promotional activities are always limited, and fans and even observers of the group have expressed frustration over Fantagio and their lack of appreciation for Weki Meki many times, but still nothing has ever changed, and it's so disheartening to witness as somebody who just wants people to appreciate them. In the past, survival shows have been known to give idols or groups a second chance to get some exposure when needed, and at the moment, Weki Meki member Ellie is currently competing on Queendom Puzzle, so I'm really hoping that this will help a wider audience realize what she has to offer as a multi-talented idol, and with a bit of hope, maybe they will then go on to look into Weki Meki too. But in true Fantagio style, the Weki Meki Instagram has been pretty quiet and inactive since Yoojung's poorly promoted solo months ago. I think they've only just very recently started posting reels of Ellie on Queendom Puzzle. They should have been doing more to build up to that. It's just another missed opportunity to promote the girls on their side. The girls post more on their own Instagram than the company do on the group one, but hopefully with all that aside, she'll still be able to do her thing on the show by herself, and hopefully the lack of promo won't make a difference. But it does just make me think, us fans know what Weki Meki are capable of, and the company doesn't have to worry about that. But imagine if they gave them even half of the support they needed and like the backing. Just think what they could have achieved. And now we're going to move on to another group who have definitely had wasted potential, and that is Treasure. I think Treasure are the first much larger boy group that YG has debuted, at least that I'm aware of. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But it is not the first time YG has formed a group through a survival show, not in the slightest. My problem, however, is not with how they're forming their groups, it's how long YG Entertainment actually waited to debut Treasure after the completion of their show Treasure Box. The survival show wrapped up in very early 2019, but Treasure didn't actually debut until August 2020, which is pretty much a year and a half later. This may have unknowingly and inadvertently hindered some of their potential to reach some crazy heights of popularity in the way that a lot of survival show groups do. By the time they actually debuted, it's likely a lot of potential fans had either moved on or perhaps were not as bothered as they could have been because they were preoccupied with other groups now, etc. Now don't get me wrong, I'm sure this was a strategic decision on YG Entertainment's part, and I completely understand that it takes a lot of time to fully prepare a boy group for debut, but in K-pop, you do do have to strike while the iron's hot, and I feel YG should have taken advantage of the anticipation built around Treasure's debut and debuted them much sooner. In the long run, Treasure still managed to succeed as planned. They received the MAMA Award for Best New Male Artist, which is an extremely prestigious achievement for any group, but I can't be the only one who sees that things are probably not as rosy as they seem over there, and I feel bad for them. Aside from the wasted potential they had from debuting too late, I also don't see YG fully using what they have, or had in some cases. In their short time around, Treasure has lost 2 members, one of which was Mashiho for health reasons, completely understandable, and I'm very glad he was able to do what was best for him. But what I'm less willing to accept is YG letting themselves lose somebody like Bang Ye-dam, who was quickly becoming one of my favourite vocalists around. It turns out he wanted to pursue his dreams of being a producer, which I totally understand, hence why he left Treasure. What I do not understand is YG didn't make an agreement to keep him in the group but let him do some of their producing. Isn't that the dream, to have idols in your group who can self-produce and become more well-rounded artists? Treasure are a group with a lot of wasted potential, whether it be as simple as YG not capitalizing on their post-survival show hype, or wasting the potential within the group. I was low-key expecting them to be one of the biggest 4th-gen K-pop boy groups, and although some people may think they already are, unfortunately for me personally, I think we've still got a bit of a way to go before I would put them there. Okay guys, and that was it for today's video. I'm sorry, I already know it's going to be a longer one, but I wanted to give each of these groups the proper time and attention they deserve, even if their labels won't. Thank you so much for watching if you got this far. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, either on these groups or if you can think of any more with wasted potential. If you're new here and haven't yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button down below and turn on the notification bell. I'll let you be the first to hear whenever I upload, and I will see you next time. Bye guys!